Sky Squad, we are back in the building. And yes, we are going to be breaking down the latest in reality TV and pop culture news and entertainment. And we're going to be breaking it down like only we can. Also, today we are introducing our membership portal where you guys can get extra content. Now, the charter members of this membership portal will be able to get a lifelong discount. So be sure to tap into the links in the description of this video or audio, wherever you may be listening to this. And if you haven't gotten the tea on my new book, The Wickedest Wives of Vicious Reality, it's available on Amazon.com right now. Now let's dive in. Sky Squad, we are back in the building, and y'all, I got somebody special on the line today. Okay. I have been a fan of pop roast for quite some time. Okay, just to let you know that. But then it was also fun to watch you, Chris, like just start to carve your own path as well. Like both of you guys, really. And I love to see that you guys were able to do that and still also come together. And I have watched your Beverly Hills recaps. I love those. Okay. That's kind of how I got into your content. It was via Beverly Hills. For some reason, I love watching you and Brooke Ashley's takes on that. For some, like I associate my mind automatically associates y'all with that show in particular, but you cover a lot of different shows. So I just want to say thank you, first of all, for doing this. I have been a fan for a long time, and I'm super happy to see you doing so well.
Thank you. I mean, I feel great to just be on your platform. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm always a little bit nervous to ask people like to do things because I'm like, oh, people are busy. And I'm the worst with scheduling stuff. I ain't gonna even lie to you. I'll be like, because I really like for my days to flow like fluidly. And when I got something to do, I'm like, something on my calendar. Right. But that's the benefit of being a content creator. You can kind of go with the flow and make your own schedule. So I want to dive into first. How did you know that this was something that you wanted to do?
Well, I always loved like pop culture and entertainment, and I always have an opinion about things. And then like I love reality TV, and I kind of just fell into it. I just feel like a lot of YouTubers, they just say they fell into it. But you know, I really got to just give credit to Alexander Rogers because I would have never been on this path. Like I've been in New York for like 10 years now. I just would have never thought that this would have been my path. So it started with just, you know, me like watching Housewife reviews on YouTube. I come across Alexander's page and like he had me crying, laughing on the subway. Like I was a fan. So then like I remember he used to be on Periscope a lot and interact with his like followers. So like I would be talking to him or whatever, and then like sharing my opinions. And then I found out that he lived in my neighborhood. So it's just like it was destiny. Like really, like he lived about a good 12-minute walk from my apartment in Harlem. So we ran into each other on the subway, and he recognized me immediately because I'm like 6'7". Like, and you know, when I meet a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, Chris, you're so tall." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, and then when they meet me out, like I always try to tell people, I swear I'm the nicest person. It's just I have my headphones in a lot, and I just be focused. You know. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting off the path. So we talk, and then like we grab like dinner at a certain time. Now he invited me on his show to do like a review for Black Panther. This was like in 2018. So Carlos is like going on 6 years old. So afterward, you know, his followers kind of had to warm up to me a little bit. But then like after the review, I enjoyed it. And I was like, you know, I have a lot to say about pop culture and stuff like that. So we did that. We didn't have a name yet, but we did the hot topics and it gained a lot of traction. He was just like, oh, can you do this again? And then we did it weekly. And I was just like, you know what? This is a really good thing we have. Like he wanted to name it. And then going back and forth. And, you know, a lot of people call it pot roast. But, you know, it's pop roast. It's only because we roast pop culture. And I think Alexander Rogers is one of the best roasters I know. and where it's funny and it doesn't come off mean because a lot of people
Yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah.
Just saying,
Yeah.
but we were doing that and it was just pop roast. So then the pandemic happened, 2020. I'm freaking out because like I'm in hospitality industry
Okay.
and I didn't have anything to do because like we were just at home. And then I guess this was the perfect time for me to start a YouTube. Like because Alex always kept telling me you should do your own show, like do reviews. So uh let me see, it was March 2020, like March 15th, 4 years ago. And I just turned the camera on because I was just so nervous. You just have to take the leap. And when
Yeah.
people ask me like about like getting into YouTube, you just have to start. And
Hmm.
then it's just like you just have to be consistent, consistent, consistent. And yeah, I didn't know how to do the whole editing thing. At first, I had someone edit my videos for me until I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just sit down and learn this shit. Can I curse a
Yeah,
little?
absolutely.
Okay, all right. I need to sit down and learn this shit and like do it on my own because I just thought I can't be a YouTuber unless I know how to edit my own videos. And now, like, I don't want anybody to edit it because I know how to edit myself. I'm
Right.
a perfectionist, but yeah. So afterward, it just started with tall order where I was just talking about like myself and I'm starting this. And then I got into doing reviews.
Hmm.
And what was the review I did? I think it was like Atlanta. And then I just started doing all the housewives. I enjoyed doing it. And yeah, the rest is history. Like I fell into it, like I gained the audience, and then like yeah, 15,000 subscribers later. I'm proud of that. I know I'm just like a baby compared to y'all, but I gotta say, like I just love the camaraderie amongst the Black YouTubers. Like from you to Brooke to Erica De Niro, Scotty, Maddie Rants. Like it's just like a whole family. And I just love
Yeah, I think that's been an amazing thing to also experience.
that. Mhm.
I didn't know what to expect when I first came into it. I didn't really think about it, like other than, oh, this is Funky Dineva told me to do it. I was like, okay, sure, because my job had ended. I was working on a news show, and he was like, yeah, just get on YouTube, and I was like, okay. And so the next thing I knew, I had a video that was like, it was about Nene and Portia. Like they had released each other's text messages. And I was like, I did that on a Friday night. And I was like, I started looking at the numbers. I was like, oh, wait, hold on. A lot of people are watching this. So I just kind of got a little scared for a minute because I was like, ooh, like, I don't know how I want, like, it wasn't a good video. Okay. Like,
I
there was
mean,
no, I didn't do
we
no edit.
always think it's a bad video until like I just edit it down, and then I'm just like, oh, people like this, really? Like, because after I turn the camera off, I was just like, oh, that fucking sucked, and I'm just like, I don't know. I
But
put
they
it
like
out, and people love
you.
it.
They like you. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah,
what you end up finding. Like, even when they don't like you, they like you.
yeah,
If that makes any sense. Because they'll usually keep coming back because they like what you're talking about. So I always find that like, okay, you might not like something I said today, but you'll
mhm.
like what I said. You'll like what I say next week. It's fine.
Look, Potomac is just like I was just going back and forth. Should I review this show anymore? Because the fans are so divided. I know.
No,
I don't even want
trust
to talk
me.
about
Trust me. Listen, no, let's get into it.
it.
I wish that I had stopped reviewing it halfway through the season.
Yeah.
That's when I knew. I said, this feels real dark to me. It doesn't feel like any movement is happening, and it's not giving why I fell in love with Housewives in the first place.
Mhm.
So that has been a little metric for me. Like when it stops feeling good, then I take a break from it. And that doesn't mean like, oh, I gotta quit doing it altogether. I'm gonna test it out and see how I feel about it, and I'll come back around if it starts to feel good again, right?
Mhm.
It's like a situationship.
Yeah, I get it.
Like I ain't gonna commit to you, but we can be friends with benefits, and then I'll see how it go. Okay, and I'll come back around and you start acting right. But when they get to doing too much, like another show that's like that is Love and Marriage Huntsville. It
I wish I was into that.
it it's a show that I love it, but I don't like a lot of what comes along with it. If that
Uh,
makes any sense. And it feels reminiscent sometimes. The fandom like around it feels the same as Potomac does when it's so split, right?
Right.
So that makes it kind of difficult. And I always feel like I like let's just get into it.
Yeah,
You watch Jersey right now.
of course.
How do you manage to review that show
Hmm.
and not fall into the death trap of
The tree
the
huggers.
divide
Uh,
that the cast has created?
um. Well, I used to like Teresa, like because I started Jersey in the beginning. But the thing
Wait,
is,
the fact that you said I used to like Teresa,
right,
I love that.
and she has such like a huge fan base. But I
Yes.
think it's actually worse on the Potomac side because I don't know. I have a lot of people like my audience is split on Teresa and Melissa or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I really don't have that much pushback on Jersey. Like they just
Really?
don't like Marge. That's the thing. Like we all agree that
Mm.
Teresa is a moron, but she's you whatever she does for some reason, like the line is always moving for her. Shout out to Candace. Like, I don't know, this season it's just like I think she can go personally. I think they both can go. And I just feel like I was telling this to Alex that production is really their fault because
That's I agree.
she's the only one in the franchise. Like Beverly Hills can do without Kyle, Atlanta can do without Nene, OC can do without Vicky, but for some reason, like Jersey just can't survive without Teresa. And Bravo's scared to like find that out. So I don't know. But this season so far, it's like okay. It's not bad. It's not terrible. I'm enjoying it, especially the last episode. You're not watching it at all?
I started it, right? I
Okay.
started the season, and then I don't know, something about it was just like, man, I feel like this is more of the same. Even with Teresa and Melissa not interacting,
Mhm.
it still feels the same because it's like to me, I'm like, number one, y'all families. This show has always been a family show.
Right.
So when you take away that dynamic, it becomes basically like every other show.
Mhm.
So when you start going in the direction I think that they're going, where it feels like, well, it almost feels like they're saying without saying, why are you filming with so and so?
Yeah. And I
And
think a lot of
I don't
behind the
like that. I don't
yeah.
like that because I feel like y'all sabotaging the show.
Yeah. And social media really has ruined Housewives a little bit. I just remember
Yeah,
just like back in the day where it's just like we don't know what's going on, but it just turned into such like a spectacle where you have all these blogs where it's just like shade rooms just for Bravo content.
yeah,
And I think with Jersey, like with the whole Teresa and Jennifer like reaching out to bloggers and stuff like that, allegedly,
right.
I just think it's really messing up the show because they're trying to like be calculating. And I don't think Teresa or Jennifer are that smart. Like they try to throw the rock and hide their hand, but it's so obvious. Like they think they're smarter than what they are, and that's what's offensive to me.
Yeah.
But so far, like out of a 1 out of 10, it's a solid 7. And I really want to find out why they're not having a reunion because Andy keeps like, bigging up this finale that's coming up. And we don't have a cash trip. So it must be a shorter season.
Uh, it just to me feels like I don't think that they should have told us that there wasn't going to be a reunion, like a
Yeah.
traditional reunion. I think that was a mistake. I also agree with you. Production is to blame, in my opinion, because I feel like when you start allowing the cast to kind of run amok and do the things that they're doing, I
Yeah.
think that you've given them too much power, right? Yeah, we want authenticity, but y'all still got to interact because if you don't, there's no show. And
Right.
then I'm kind of on the fence about how I feel about this whole Jackie situation. Jackie to me is I
A
don't know. I
coward.
don't know how I feel about it.
Uh, uh, like she's fake. She's phony. Like I used to love Jackie. I was
I
like,
did too.
I was just like, how do you do this? Like, you turn your back on Marge and Melissa for Teresa? Like, it just has to be calculated. Like, this woman called you a see you next Tuesday, like, at least like 10 times. And like, how do you turn around from that? Like, it's just such a 180. Like, she's just going out sad. And I mean, what Margaret did to her in the last episode, like,
I
sent
saw
that
that though.
screenshot, that was an all-time Housewives play. Like, that has to be top 10 because her face was cracked, and no one really messes with Dolores like that. And anytime I see Patterson Dolores coming out, I get giddy because that is the Dolores that I want to see. So,
I personally feel like Dolores, I don't care what they do with that show. I feel
mhm.
like Dolores should stay. I think she's a great neutral character
Yeah.
who comes out when she needs to. I don't know if you remember in season, was it 8 when Danielle had come back? Marge, it was like Marge's maybe second season. I think
Mhm.
Siggy had left and
Danielle come back?
Danielle was back, and I felt like no, Siggy was still there. I think Siggy was still there, but
Mhm.
I think what it was there was something about Teresa claiming that Dolores didn't have her back,
Yeah.
and Dolores gets up and she's like ready to go with Teresa. That is the Dolores that I want more
Yeah.
of. You know, somebody that's like, okay, like, nah, like I'm not playing with you either. You know, you might have all this power on the show, but I can still go toe to toe with you. And we can
Right.
still be friends, right? Because it wasn't coming from like this combative place of like, I don't like you. It was really like, no, I'm gonna defend myself. And I
Right.
feel like, what you're saying is wrong. That's what I want to see more of. I don't
And they
like
know each other.
I just don't like where we are with it now with that particular show. So it feels like watching it is a waste of my time, especially when I know that there's gonna be no real resolve.
Right. I can get that.
Yeah. And Marge,
They will never make me hate Marge. I
me
love Marge.
neither.
Like, she is a quintessential housewife. She's not afraid of Teresa's shit. Like, I mean, she plays dirty. She plays dirty though, and I'm not saying it's right, but it's just like when you come from Marge, like, you better have an arsenal as well. Because they were right. She got an arsenal, and you got to come
She
for her.
does. She does. But I also feel like, again, Marge is contributing to what I feel like is the downfall of the show as well as Teresa and Melissa, because you can't just say I'm not going like, why are you filming? Like, why are you friends with her, Jen? Like,
Right.
why are you know what I'm saying? Like the implication is there. And I feel like, uh,
Mhm.
girl, we know what you're doing. Like we can see it. It's transparent.
Like, I feel like with like the cast of New York, where it's just like once you're past the point of no return with people, you don't want to film with them. I felt like New York, they always used to get into it, but they would always just get back together. Well,
That
old school New York.
old school New York.
Yeah.
I do not watch the new one.
I don't mind. I'm gonna give them another chance. Like, this is like Bravo has a lot of make or breaks coming up right now. Like, Atlanta is a make or break. This New York, Dubai. I don't know. If no one's gonna watch Dubai, this is gonna be the last season too. So I'm nervous for a lot of the shows coming out because they need to rework it. Potomac is on his last leg. If this doesn't do well, then I think it's gonna be scrapped. Like, a lot of shows are in trouble, with the exception of Beverly Hills. Thank God, Married to Medicine is fine.
Oh my
I
God,
fine.
yes.
Great
Yes.
show.
Yes. You mentioned, where do I want to go first? You mentioned Dubai. What are your thoughts on this season? Because I know that was kind of what I initially wanted to talk to you about, but then I was like, it's a
Mhm.
lot going on. So let's fit it all up in here. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on this season?
Well, I hate that all this happened, like, I think almost 2 years ago. Like,
I
the
know.
first episode, they showed it at BravoCon back in November. It is June. So we are just seeing that first episode. We're on, like, what, episode 3 now?
Hmm.
I mean, I like the little cast switch up. It's fine. The new girl, Talene, she kind of looks like Larsa and Jennifer Aiden together.
I can see that.
Like, that's all I can see when I see her. Um, it's okay. I just feel like I'm trying to see where the season goes because I really want to see how Ayan and Lisa fell out. That was like the main thing.
Yeah.
I do like how there's luxury, but for some
Mhm.
reason, I just feel like it's missing something. Like just something that like really take it over the edge.
There is a slight disconnect for me, and I don't know what it is. And it could have been that it was filmed so long ago. It could have
Mhm.
been when you go to Dubai. Dubai is an interesting place to
Have
me
you
in
been?
general. Yes, I've only been once though. And
Uh,
what I can tell you is that there is a bit of a disconnect, interestingly enough, even when you're there,
mhm,
because the city looks beautiful, right?
right.
But there's this in the background, there's not only a haze of desert sand, but construction. So it is like a beautifully dressed set, if that makes
Yeah,
any sense.
makes a lot
And
of sense.
so that kind of comes across even in the show. It's
Yeah,
luxurious, it's beautiful to look at, but there is something there that doesn't always seem to connect, I think, with the broader audience. And I don't know what that is.
right.
Because look at Carolyn Stanberry to me. She was amazing on Ladies of London.
I wasn't familiar with her.
Okay. Like, so for me, that Carolyn Stanberry is what I wanted. The
Mhm,
Carolyn Stanberry that I get right now is she's cool. She's kind of a don't start none, don't be none type person, and with a mix with a little bit of like British humor that can be misperceived and that can kind of create controversy to me.
yeah,
But there is something about a show where the friendships don't feel as organic to me that doesn't come across as, I don't know. I think we're just so, for those of us who are old school Housewives fans, like,
mm,
remember Jersey? Those ladies were friends when they first started
right.
this. You know,
Family,
the
they're
same, yeah,
related.
the same with OC in the beginning, right? The
Mhm,
same with okay, go back to Atlanta. It
mm,
felt like this was a very tight social circle, and we're getting a peep into that life, right? So Dubai to me as a starting point does not feel like that.
yeah,
Salt Lake City didn't feel like that, but they had the benefit of scandal to propel them. And I don't think
yeah.
that Dubai has that.
I agree. Yeah, and it's just something like hollow about it, you
Yeah.
know. And it just seemed like they're all just in like a cast set, like they're just away from everything.
Yep.
Where like the city, like New York has personality, Atlanta has
Mhm.
personality. Like just in the city of Atlanta, you could just see the backdrop. Like there's, but for some reason, yeah, I never heard that before. It makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. I love each of the ladies individually. Like I think there's so much potential there. Wait, who are you not feeling?
Well, Stansberry, I wasn't feeling her first season. I think the thing was like everyone was expecting, oh, Stansberry, she's the star, but then Ayan completely overshadowed her. And then they were bumping heads or whatever. I loved Ayan the first season, but the second one, it just feels like it's getting a little bit stale. I love her. I really do. But it just feels like it's just getting a little bit stale and contrived.
Mm.
I love Lisa. Lisa is my favorite. And
She comes across very natural,
yes.
but
Um,
she's also done
Sarah,
reality TV before,
right,
right?
yeah, that
So
too.
she could have that advantage.
And then Sarah, I like her, but the whole spiritual bohemian stuff, like, I just want some real. Like, I just want to see, like, what is she really like? She always trying to come off as the peacemaker. I'm just like, I don't know. They could have
I,
kept Nina for all that.
I think Sarah gives like I want to be like I always feel like she's giving me motivational speaker vibes, and I'm like, is that how you live every day? Is that how you talk all the time? Like, because don't nobody talk like that all the time.
And it feel
So
like
that
she thinks she's above it all.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
like with the Beyonce thing, like, no, I wouldn't go. What do you mean?
it's Beyonce. How do you
Right.
feel about Carolyn Brooks this season?
I wanted to start everyone with a clean slate. But that episode where she was sloppy drunk, I'm like, she's giving the Marlo of Dubai, like, and not
Ooh.
season 4 Atlanta Marlo where she's stirring
I know
shit.
what you're
It's just
talking
like
about.
current Marlo, where it's just like, it's kind of tawdry, kind of bring it down the show. And I like her. She's so nice at BravoCon. I think she watches my reviews. I know Nina did because we had a back and forth over the French fry gate. I'm not sure if you remember that.
I do, but what
Okay.
happened?
Well, I work in hospitality, and then the way she was treating the wait staff or whatever, I went off on her in my review. So then I get a message in my DMs on Instagram, and she was explaining like, "Is this what it looks like or whatever?" And we had a good conversation. I was like,
Oh,
"Okay,
good.
well, all I can do is judge what I see. That's all I can do, and I'm giving
That's
an
really
honest
it.
opinion. And also, I don't hate anybody. It's just jokes." Like
Yeah.
people think I hate Candace. I do not hate her. I don't hate anybody. I don't hate Giselle either. It's just I'm in the moment critiquing a show. And I think people forget that in the comments. Not to go off topic, but yeah.
No, 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 no. Listen, I am here to follow whatever path we go
Oh,
down. And I love that you mentioned that because I get that a lot too. Like people assume that because you have a critical opinion, and
mm,
likely because they hear it over and over, but they have to also remember this character is in this microcosm week after week.
yeah.
So if they're doing the same thing week after week, then you're going to hear the same critique week after week, right? So it can come across like you just have a thing against this person. I'm like, no, it's not that personal to me. If I ran into any one of them and they were at the bar, I would buy them a drink. Why? Because I talk about them all the time. And that the reality is it's business. You know what I'm saying? It's not personal to me. I'm not connected to it like that. When I finish, outside of watching and doing what I do, I'm not thinking about them or I don't have that ill will towards them in general. There's only a
Mhm.
couple of people that I feel like just take them off of my screen, and I'm
Yeah.
vocal about that. And I'm okay with it. But even with that, like I'm not as invested in, I don't hate any of them. That's
Mhm. Someone put in my comments, "Is Melissa paying you?" I was like, "No, I've always felt this way about Teresa, and Melissa can get it too sometimes." Like, I don't, and I really think, well, my opinion on her husband, I don't really care for Joe Gorga, but I see why he's on the show.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that show is so family oriented
Hmm.
that it made sense. It's made sense for all these years, and they could have had a longer run altogether. I think had they
Hmm.
been willing to figure out a way to move beyond whatever like the real issue is,
Right.
and because it for me it's like sad. Like y'all got kids. Can the kids talk to each other? Like
Right.
can the cousins interact? How does that work?
Hmm. But,
Um,
back to my point, I just think Brooks is, I don't know, I just don't think she fits in the cast sometimes. Like she just gives
mm,
like a Marlo energy where
mm.
she's trying to start up shit and it's just obvious and it just comes off contrived. And I just don't like contrived situations on Housewives, even though, sometimes it's hyper produced, but it's just obvious on Brooks' part. Like season 1 of Dubai, the only reason Ayan and Stansberry were going at it was because of Brooks. And now Brooks is
Mm.
doing it again with Stansberry and Celine, and she got mad at her own friend for not being as mad at her as she wanted her to be.
Yeah, and I'm like, it was interesting to me because I'm like, y'all were spending so much time talking on the phone, and y'all have made it a point to say that over and over
Mhm.
again. How close y'all were. Y'all were on the phone all the time at 7 in the morning, all this, that, and the third. And then the moment like your girlfriend comes onto the show and something happens, it's kind of like she's now like all the curse words that she was calling Caroline at the part. I was like,
Right.
you
It was just
immediately stole your
unnecessary.
man.
Mm. What I was about to say. It was about Brooks. Oh, yeah. So season 1, remember after the reunion where they were trying to ice Ayan and Lisa out? Like they
Mhm.
were all buddy buddy. So I was just like, where did that come from?
It was weird. It was weird. But I wonder also too if there was a part of it. that maybe Caroline, the two Carolines, maybe had an agreement to sort of like stand together, right? And maybe when she realized that, and this is hypothetical,
Mhm.
when she started to see that Stanberry was opening up to the idea of being closer to Ayan and Lisa, that maybe she was like, "Now wait a minute, I went to back for you. I stood beside you, and now all of a sudden, like you buddy with the enemy. Like make that make sense to me, right?"
Mhm.
But the reality is, y'all filming a show. Like y'all gotta at some point move beyond it, and it has been 3 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's
And I'm
been three
thinking,
years.
and do they have a cash trip, or are they gonna have one?
They are going to Bali.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not excited to watch every like Beverly Hills is must see for me. But like with Dubai, it's kind of like, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Hmm. That's kind of how I feel, and I want to support it though because I kind of feel like, because if we don't, I don't know that it's going to come back for another season.
Right, exactly.
Um, Speaking of shows that feel questionable right now, what are your thoughts on Atlanta? Like specifically this Kenya situation that is happening currently.
It's a hot mess. And I'm so disappointed in Kenya because like I just finally at a point where I don't mind Kenya and her antics. Like, cause I will never forget how she treated Kim Fields. Like,
Oh.
there's no way for anyone to defend Kenya more in that moment. But when I met her at BravoCon, I was just like, you know what? I get it. I get it now, So I always reviewed it just thinking, okay, Kenya is playing a character. Like, she's not
Mm.
fake, but she's not completely evil as I thought she was. Uh, but at first when I heard it, well, first what it was like or whatever, and then like the can I say revenge here? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
you two be acting crazy.
I know. Yes, you can go ahead
Yeah,
and say.
I just couldn't believe she did that or put herself in that position. And I still feel like it's hard for me to believe, So I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. Like back then, I probably would have been like, you know what, that's Kenya. But now I just have like, she wouldn't do this. She wouldn't blow all this up, Because I'm scared that I think because I didn't think they were going to actually suspend her. I just thought this was all rumors. But to think they actually might fire her too, and I was telling Alex that it's almost kind of like synonymous with how Bravo has treated Brandy, because they always love Brandy's antics until she crossed the line. And then it's just like, oh, you're on your own now. And then, she was with Bravo like this. So now with Kenya, like, they use her for her antics, do what you do, Kenya. But it looks like when she went too far, now it seemed like Bravo's kind of distancing themselves from her. That's what it kind of looks like to me.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point, especially with the Brandy comparison, right? So I feel like it feels like, yeah, Brandy's a great example.
Mhm.
We'll use you when we need you, right? Because we know you're gonna act up, but we ain't gonna bring you back in a full-time capacity because you act up a little too much, right? For a Beverly Hills brand. But we can throw you into these other little situations, and we know that you're gonna give us wild and crazy, and it's gonna be fun until it's not. The problem with a personality like that is when you continue to reward that behavior, it's just gonna get worse, right? Like,
Mhm.
because you have to keep going lower in order to get a response or the response that you're hoping for. But the problem is when you keep going that low, then you start reaching below the ground. Like you start putting your hand in the dirt. And I think that that's the line that you have to be careful with for that type of personality, because what the line between like where my hand goes now, it starts to
Mhm.
become a little deeper and deeper into the dirt. So now how deep do we go? And
Right.
I think that's probably what happened with Kenya. I don't know, but for her to have gone to that, even just hearing
Yeah.
the audio made me believe it happened.
Mhm. Ugh.
I didn't want to believe it was happening because I was like, no,
Right.
she's smarter than that.
Exactly. Like, Kenya's smart.
Yes, like that
If
is
it
a
was Portia, I'm like,
businesswoman.
okay. Just saying. I mean, I love Portia too. I know
I
a
do
lot of people
too.
don't like Portia, but I like Portia. She just
I
makes
love
bad.
Portia.
Okay.
I've actually grown to really love Kenya. I mean, I understood her role on the show, right? She knows
Yeah.
how to, push things forward. But I just think that, yeah, you got to really watch that. And I feel like that's been somebody else that needs to watch that is Giselle.
Yes.
I think that again, it's the same thing. We love that you spill the tea, that you tell the rumors, that you
Mhm.
get the party started. But then what happens when it starts to go into a territory that now like you can't even come back from that? Like with the stuff with Chris, I don't understand how that flew.
Right.
Like how are you allowed to say this about this man? And was it because he was a man that it was kind of okay?
Hmm.
Because if it happened the way she said it did, then we would be looking at him crazy.
Right.
So I don't know. I just feel like that's the interesting place that we're at with some of these shows.
Hmm.
And I
And I
think
really
that
want Atlanta to succeed too. I mean, they need to. And this was only a month into filming, a month. And then they paused production now.
from what I heard,
Oh, Lord. I
because I
mean,
think I think Portia's in London or something like that. From what I last saw on Instagram.
hmm.
So
Well, so much for like a fall date, or maybe we'll get it for fall. I don't know.
I had been hearing 2025, to be honest with you. That is another issue that I feel like I have with Bravo right now. These
Oof.
other networks are putting these shows out while they're still filming.
Yeah.
And people don't want to wait a year
Hmm.
when we already know a lot of what happened.
Right.
So it's kind of like when we have to wait so long to get a show, I just be feeling like, I mean, I kind of already know.
Right. And just so many leaks come out of Atlanta, just specifically for that show. Like, we know everything that's going on.
So how do you feel about that in general? Do you want to know what's happening?
I don't. Like, I want to be surprised. Like, with Salt Lake City, no one's talking about that. Or the whole Monica thing, how they kept that under wraps. That was just, I'm glad I reviewed that season, because after, that was season 4, right? Season 3, I was like, I'm not reviewing this show anymore. Especially how they handled the whole Jen Shaw situation. But I gotta say, like, that was some peak television, like at the season finale. So the way they hit that is how I want for the rest of the cast. But
Mm.
there's just always leaks, especially for the Black shows. I feel
I
like Married
want
to Medicine, though, they have kind of a lid on things.
who?
Married to Medicine?
Yes. I feel like I feel like I like a leak, but I don't want to know too much, right?
Right.
I kind of want to know just enough to keep me interested, but I feel like okay, like the Kenya thing, like if you do that in front of like the cast, it may have been able to stay quiet. But then I
Right.
don't know because the Bolo thing didn't stay quiet, right?
Right.
So you kind of got to wonder who is the leaky faucet. Kind of like with Beverly Hills when I think we know now Lisa Rinna probably was the leaky faucet.
Yeah. Because I
But
noticed like not that many stories come out now.
nope.
Right.
Nope. So I I don't know. Atlanta, and then with the Portia and Simon of it all, I kind of feel like watching them every day online is like a soap opera. Like I don't know if I need to see it play out on TV because what more can you tell me?
Yeah, I don't really even care anymore about Portia and Simon. I don't want to hear anything Simon has to say, but Shade Room keeps posting everything Simon has to say. I'm just wondering why. Why are we giving him this platform? Where does Atlanta rank for you now? Like,
Ooh,
is it even in your top 5 of Housewives franchises?
that is a very good question.
Because I know
Ooh.
right now my favorite is Beverly Hills. then Miami. And I'm trying to think. Maybe Atlanta's fourth for me or third. Because I still have an interest in Atlanta. It's
Yeah.
just it was just so stale last season.
That is such a good question.
Because Atlanta used to be number 2 for me. Beverly Hills always my number 1.
Beverly Hills to me has always been like appointment television, right? I don't know why. It's something about maybe the lifestyles of like
It
the
was
rich.
literally like a soap opera. Like in the
Yeah,
beginning of
like
the season, they had like drug abuse, alcohol abuse. Someone ended their life.
that
Or
was it
something
was
like,
crazy.
yeah, it was like a soap opera.
Um, Beverly Hills has always been in my top. Atlanta has always been in my top because I kind of feel like that's really where I got started with like doing like
Yeah.
actually no, because when I first started doing reviews on Housewives, I actually started with Dallas and
Ooh,
Potomac.
Dallas.
Yes. But this is
Bless
when I was
you.
in LA at AfterBuzz TV. I was like, I started doing those just to kind of get my foot into that space, right? Because
Mhm.
you couldn't even get on an Atlanta recap panel because it was always everybody wanted to do it. But to be honest, my number one right now isn't even a housewife show, it's Married to Medicine.
Good answer. Yeah, I would say Married to Medicine is probably number 3. I mean, what Miami has done, like, is just really great with the cast. Like, I love that cast because I feel like it's so balanced.
It is, and I do feel like, but I also feel like the network treats Miami like a little bit of a redheaded stepchild.
They do.
And I don't know why. Because I'm like, this is y'all got characters here. Like,
Right.
and it feels like organic friendships. And because we've seen some like if you watch from the beginning, like they have some of the same cast. So it's like, why aren't we maximizing this show like we should?
Yeah. Putting it after Beverly Hills was such a big mistake. Like, they
Maybe
should
they
have
thought that was going to be a lead in.
It just felt like too much because Beverly Hills was already a lot to digest. And then afterward, you just want like a little break. But then, like, you have Miami, and I'm just like, I'll get to it later. Because I remember, oh my God, they had so many shows on at one time. Like, I was doing at least 6 reviews a week.
I
And
missed
now
it.
it's just like, just 2 now, 2 Bravo shows. I remember it was like Potomac, Married to Medicine, oh my God, Miami, Beverly Hills, and it was another show. And I think Salt Lake City was still on too.
It was
They were all at the same
it was
time.
popping like at one point,
Right. Oof.
but
Yeah.
now I feel like it's real dry.
Yeah. But you can hear an echo now.
Literally. Who are your top 5 housewives if you had to currently? Because
Okay.
it would be difficult. I mean, because it's easy to talk about the people who we used to love, but like who is doing it for you right now?
Uh let's see. I'm gonna start about franchises. I would say Sutton. Sutton
Mm,
is a great housewife. I like Garcelle, but I'm gonna leave her off the list right now.
okay.
Sutton, um, mm, Nicole from Miami.
Mm.
Because after that mirror incident that she sent Larsa, like the disinvite, remember that? And
Yeah.
then she has the money too to be petty.
Yes.
Um, Karen
Okay. Makes sense.
Huger. Uh, gosh, is there anybody from Jersey? Uh, man, I guess I will say, yeah, Garcelle. I'll put her on that list. I like her.
Okay.
Oh, it's so hard.
I know. No.
I would say Kenya. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that's just off the dome right now
Okay.
because it'll probably change.
I'm
Because I'm
trying to
just
think.
like, who's really killing it? Like, I just feel like because I put Sutton and Garcelle like just as a package sometimes, but Sutton
Yeah,
is really killing it because she's
yeah.
really like activating Kyle or whatever. So,
I know. I love it.
and I like Kyle. I like what she brings. I think she does her job. I just don't like how at the end, like she didn't give us anything, and
I
then
hated
Lisa
that.
did on buying Beverly Hills. Like I found out more about their marriage on that show.
Exactly. I
Right.
hated that. That's the thing
That
that
was mad.
frustrates me about Kyle because I feel like she's a little entitled at this point when she talked about how like she's been on the show for 13 seasons. But I'm like, well, girl, that doesn't mean on your 13th year you can sit back and take a break. Like that's not
Right.
you don't see Teresa doing that. I mean, to be fair, Teresa, whether you like her or not, the girl is working. Like
Right.
she is showing up to work, she is doing what she got to do, and she's kind of hell on wheels. And, and to be honest with you, like she's a menace, but she works. So for me, she might have to go on my list if I were to like, and I loathe saying it
Yeah.
because she to me comes across like, but she's working. So even in this past episode where she sent Melissa and Joe the bottle, I was
Right.
like, ooh, an opening, right? She was smart enough to realize, I mean, I know, but
Oh, she wanted to be a topic
for the
at
show.
their housewarming. She wanted to be a
Yeah.
topic. It was really calculated.
But in the spirit of when you go back and say, well, I was at least able to send them something,
Right.
she can check off that box.
Mm-hmm.
Who would mine be?
Yeah, I was wondering.
So I have some weird choices. I do like Sutton. When you said Sutton, I was like, I like it because Sutton reacts to things. I like people that have like big reactions and they be real. You know what I'm saying? Like she's like, why is she off crying now? Like we don't know, right?
Mhm.
But something has struck a chord in her and she is giving us a real reaction. And also that name that to me
Oh yeah,
was
name them.
I was like cheering in my seat because I just wanted her to give Kyle something.
Mm-hmm.
I think Karen is like a perennial favorite at this point for me.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like she understands the assignment. She provides comic relief. Um, who else?
Anyone from Atlanta? Portia?
I would say Portia, honestly, but she ain't been back yet, technically.
True.
So it's hard for like I kind of am on the fence because my question put me in a box. So I'm like, can I really put her on the list yet? So
Anybody from
I would save her because I feel like she could be.
mm-hmm. Anybody from Salt Lake City? Probably not.
If I had to give it to somebody from Salt Lake City,
It'd either
it
be
would,
Lisa or Heather.
I was about to say Lisa. It would
Yeah.
be Lisa because she to me gives me quintessential like
Delusion.
there's a little bit of neuroses there. Like
Yeah.
there's a little bit of like, like I don't want to say it doesn't materialistic, but there's like this like wealth sort of status that I feel like she's kind of interested in holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, who else? I'm gonna say Teresa.
Yeah. Okay.
As much as I loathe it, trust me, I do. I'm very critical of her, but what I can say is, at least she is showing up to work. Like that, it is never a season where Teresa is not activated, showing up to work, about to fight somebody.
Well, about to fight, I don't know. Like if I was the ladies, I would be petty. I'm just like, what are you going to do, Teresa? I have 911 on speed dial right now. You will go back to jail, you felon. But Yeah, I mean, I give it to you because at least I'm fair. Because when Rachel was saying to Teresa, "What have you done lately?" Has been, I'm just like, like Teresa's done a lot since she's been out of jail. Like she
You
paid
know,
all that restitution back, got her money, and look,
I was kind of here for Rachel before she said the has been. I
right.
felt like she was. I was like, "Girl, you are yes, you are okay. Eat her up, eat her up." But then when she went that route, I was like,
Yeah, because she's definitely not a has been. I mean,
"She's not a has been. If she wasn't on the show, you wouldn't be on the show."
right. And people love her. I just saw a clip of Carlos King. He was at City Winery and he brought out Teresa. They went crazy. It's just something about Teresa. I mean, her supporters kind of remind me of Trump supporters, but it
Same.
they're synonymous with the Barbs too. But I don't hope there's no Nikki fans in your chat, but that's a whole other topic. So
If I had to pick one more, I'm trying to think. I don't even know who that would be. Trying to think of somebody that is present, activated, who shows up to work, and is funny. That those are things that I look for.
nobody from OC.
You know what? I was battling between two people in my mind. Well, three people.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is probably going again, odd choices. I was battling between Mia, Tamra, and Shannon.
Mia, I like Mia now because I just get Mia now, and that's why. Like at
Yeah.
first I was like, get her off, but now like she's just necessary.
Yep.
And she's so transparent,
Yep.
whether it's like to a fault or not.
Yep. And there's
Like you
enough
can tell,
chaos
like
with her.
yeah, you can tell how like happy Andy was at the reunion, and
Oh, I
then
know.
first chair. Wow.
Yes. Yes. Shannon again. I like neurotic housewives that react,
Mm-hmm.
and they just have big reactions, and that's just who they are. She's been like that since season 9. And then Tamara, because I think she's like Kenya Moore to me. She knows what to do, but I
Yeah.
think she understands the boundary a bit. I mean, I would like to think. I thought Kenya understood it, but I don't know now.
Yeah, I'm so surprised with Kenya. Like, I'm just a little disappointed because I just know she's smarter than that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of like trying to reserve my judgment with that fully until we really know what the investigation yields and Bravo comes out and says something, because I don't want to believe that to be true.
Right. I'll be gagged if they fire her. That'll just be gag of the year.
I mean, that's from what I was hearing yesterday, there were people that were saying that she is done, but again, until they say it, I can't believe it.
Because I feel like that they're still under Truly Original, right?
I think so.
Okay. And that guy does not like Kenya, I think. Because I remember she put him on blast, I think last season. Well, after the season wrapped or something. I remember a little controversy about that.
I remember she was really upset because there were aspects of her like spa opening, I guess, that weren't focused
Yeah,
on.
that was it. Yeah.
But I kind of was like, when I look back at last season, I was like, did they minimize what you were doing because you didn't fulfill certain like promised story, right? So remember when they went somewhere, was it Alabama? And she was supposed to perform.
Oh yeah, and she
And
didn't
then
because I think
she got sick.
yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, I'm wondering if maybe like they were looking at, well, you didn't really finish a lot of the story that you were promising. So I wonder if they just sort of looked at like, okay, well, we're going to minimize all of this because we don't really believe you have this going on.
Right.
I don't know if that was the case or not, but it did feel like I didn't know if it was retaliatory or what. But based on what she was saying, that's how it felt.
Do you think production set up Kenya? Because I feel like they knew what she was going to do at the party.
This season?
Yeah, this season. Do you think they set up?
Oh, that's a good question. Ultimately no, because I do feel like you as the castmate still have to have a boundary for where you are gonna go and not go. And I
Mhm.
just don't think that that was necessary. If she had just called the girl an escort,
Yeah.
and said, "Girl, I got the receipts to back it up,"
Yeah.
then that would have been one thing, right? But a visual display was not necessary.
Yeah. Uh,
And truthfully, when people bring up stuff like that from people's past, I feel like it's so played out, it's low hanging fruit. I don't really care about that stuff. It doesn't matter to me. I'll like deal with what's going on in the present because there can be enough drama that you guys have going on right now that you don't have to go digging into somebody's past in order to. And I feel like if you got to do that, your argument with them is not that strong.
right. Ugh. Yeah, I remember. Remember she came with the cookie lady. Like I thought that was foul.
That's the example I always go back to. I'm like,
And I don't think what was her name?
Tanya,
Tanya, yes. I don't think she deserved that.
I
Like
don't think
all
she
she did was just talk about the wig that I think Kenya was lying or she got caught in the lie, but then you bring out like her fiance. I'm not sure if it's her husband now, but his I guess mistress, I don't know, alleged mistress to the show. Like that was a lot.
that pulling not Kenya, Kim Field's chair. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
just been like a couple of things over the course of time that you're just like,
So that's why I'm just like, it may be true. So
I know. And again, I've grown to like her a lot on the show. So I think it's unfortunate. Anything that you're looking forward to coming out? Are you gonna like? How are you feeling about OC? Are you gonna recap that,
I'm
or are
not
you
going to
gonna
recap.
kind of wait?
I'm not going to recap OC because I'm not really familiar with it like that, but I am interested in watching it.
Yeah.
I feel like my biggest shows are like, of course, like Atlanta, Potomac, Beverly Hills, and Married to Medicine. But I'm looking forward to doing Traders, the season 3 for that. I never reviewed it, and someone just told me to check out Traders, and I was just so invested. And it's just so crazy what it's done for Phaedra's like career now. How I just so yeah, I'm definitely that's the thing I'm most excited for is Traders. But after that, I guess Beverly Hills when it comes back. That's the only thing I can think of right now.
Okay. I'm sure we'll get that before the end of the year. I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll get Married to Medicine, Potomac, and Beverly Hills before we get Atlanta at this point.
And are they filming Traders right now, or like as we they just announced the cast?
I think I remember hearing there was supposed to be filming this month.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume maybe we'll get it in the fall.
Oh, and also I know a lot of people probably hate this, but I will be reviewing Basketball Wives again. That's another
Oh, I
non-Bravo.
forgot about that.
Yeah, I was like, wow, July 1st. That's very soon. So
That is
looks like I have
literally
something to. I
next
have
week.
not given up on Basketball Wives.
I haven't either. I still have hope for it.
Oh, okay.
As long as Jackie's there, I'm there.
Yeah, long as Jackie's there. I mean, last season was kind of a hoot, but not that many people I feel like watched it as much. But it had some drama. I was fine with it.
I was annoyed by it because I was like, these new girls, y'all didn't know what y'all was signing up for.
Right.
Like y'all dropping like flies. I'm like,
and only one of them survived out of the 3, I think. So out of the 4, I want to say, because it was like half new, half old.
Drop like flies. I was like, y'all come
people
on.
Hate Evelyn though. People like Evelyn and Giselle, like, yeah. Can't say nothing nice about them.
You know,
you can't.
Giselle has a place on Potomac, right?
I think so.
I think Evelyn has a place on Basketball Wives. But again, it's like you gotta when you have that role on the show, you gotta be very careful that you when about crossing lines. And I feel
That's
like they both done that. And now it's kind of difficult for some people to come back over to them.
right.
But I feel like for me, I mean, this is my job. So
Look, I loved it when she snatched off Cleonna's wig. I'm sorry, I did.
I was here for it too, because I felt like Cleanna was doing too much.
Right. She had it coming. Like, why you
So
trying to buck on somebody you know not gonna fight?
exactly. Like, this girl ain't gonna do nothing but call the police.
Right.
And I don't blame her. I mean, who fight? I'm not fighting at this age. I'm just not.
Jennifer's like what, 51? 52?
Let's look it up. I'm sure she is. How old? Because we can trust the Google. Is Jennifer. It says she's 48.
48. Huh. I didn't mean to age her that. She made turn 50 already. Oh wow.
I mean, but that's just what Google is saying right now. So, listen, I thought she was a little older too, but maybe she just reads older and more mature. Chris, I want to say thank you so much for taking out some time today. Listen, I know your time is valuable. I really, really appreciate it. Can you tell us? Huh?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Can you tell us what you have coming up next? And then also where we can find all of everything that we can do to view and support you.
Yeah. So first and foremost, C Diggy on YouTube, C Diggy 1. I do housewife reviews, other reviews. I have a show, like a political show with my friend Jared. He's like a political scientist. It's called Poli Side-Eye. Also, I'm on Pop Roast with Alexander Rogers. We do that every week. I do have like a surprise interview with someone next week from a reality show. Hopefully it goes through. I don't want to say it yet, but they're on a Bravo show. They're kind of a villain, so it'll be interesting. Yeah, Instagram, CDiggy1. Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll be on the lookout for that interview. I know I will. So yeah, so let us know when it comes out, and then I can also tell my people to go and watch it and support as well. Skye Squad, listen, y'all make sure y'all are following Chris and his channel, all the things he got going on. We appreciate your time, effort, and energy. And Skye Squad, I will catch you in the next video.